Well, welcome back, my friends, to another episode of Automotive Drama. Today I got this 2012 Jeep Wrangler, and I got to put that long block in it. Boy, is this thing an engineering nightmare by Mopar. What a joke. Alright, of course, you got to pull the fan shroud, you got to pull the belt. I left the alternator on it because I could do that later. You got to pull the AC. Hell yeah, and if anybody don't like it, this ain't a step-by-step video. I don't do step-by-step videos. I do more technical videos on, where the problems are and how you do it. Anyways, you got to pull the AC lines. Believe it or not, you have to pull the battery box and the power distribution module. And let me explain why. Where's my light? I actually got this baby ready to come out. It took me longer to get to those top 4 tranny bolts than it did to tear everything else apart. Starter, exhaust, torque converter bolts, engine mount bolts, power steering, all of that. It took me a good hour and a half to get those 4 bolts out of the top. Yeah, you're not going to get them from the bottom. You're not even going to see them. They tuck this thing way up in there so deep, you're never even going to see them. Now, let me move some of this crap out of the way. Of course, you're going to have to take, cooling hoses off, and et cetera, general wiring harness. Now, you can leave the engine wiring harness. It plugs in over there, but the EGR valve is made to a different harness. And there's where the engine harness plugs in. So I left that on because I'm going to put that back on when I reassemble that long block. Now, you see that little bitty tiny hole right there? I know my light from underneath is, I don't know if it's helping or hurting. You're going to have to take the EGR valve off, which goes right here. It's 210 millimeters. But you're never going to get to those top 2 bolts. Or this bolt that goes right here, right there. I don't know if I can get in there close enough. Hang on, let me move that light on the bottom. It's kind of getting in my way here. Okay. A real pain in the ass. You're going to have to pull the plenum. I thought I'd have to pull the intake while it was in the vehicle to get me more room to get back there. And you probably could. But again, I'm going to do all that when I reassemble the long block. Now, the real trick to this is getting that engine to drop down. If you see what I did here, I took the motor mount bolts off, right there on both sides. And you're going to have to loosen the exhaust because you're never going to get those bolts through. They come through the backside, and the exhaust is dead in the way. They're real long. Then after I did that, then I could get to the EGR valve because when I did that, I dropped this motor down at least 2 inches, maybe 3. And then I could actually get to this bolt, and they are tight. They're Loctited in. And then there's a bolt right underneath this bracket right here. This bolt down here, and there's a bolt underneath there. But you can actually get through from up here. I can't even get in there enough to even show you how to do it. Then you could get those out. I use basically a ratchet and a little extender on the end of the ratchet to break them loose. They're super, super tight. That bottom one, you might be able to get from the bottom, but it's so tight in there, you can't even get around the dipstick tube or anything from underneath. But it's right there. See it sticking out right here? It's right there once you get yourself some clearance. And the manual actually says to pull this. Now, the other side. That one was real fun. Those 2 took me 45 minutes at least to get those out after I got the EGR valve off. A real pain in the ass. Now, this side. You think that side's fun. The 2 on the bottom, there is one down there that's underneath that bracket that you can't even see. You can get that from the bottom with a 18 millimeter swivel and the proper extensions. You can get to that one. But then there's the one that's right here behind. See this bracket? That doesn't even hold it. there's where I put my chain. I took that out. You have to take that bracket off. Don't forget about that bracket. It's bolted to the back of the head. Again, you can do all this sort of easily. I ain't gonna say it's easy, but you can actually get your hand back in there once you drop the front of the engine down. Then you can actually get to the bolt that's behind this harness. It's right there. I don't know if you can, I can't even see my thumb. Look straight down from my thumb about 3 inches. And there's that one. I actually just used a wrench and a pry bar. And wedged the wrench in and used the pry bar to, then I wedged it on the body and used the pry bar to crack that sucker loose. Because they are super tight. They Loctite them in. Excuse me, I still got a little bit of sniffles. Of course, you're going to have to take the exhaust shields off. I mean, just to get to this point is a little bit of work, but you're never going to get to those top 2 bolts from the bottom. You're just not. I could have took the motor mount brackets off and probably dropped it down a little bit more, but you're only going to get so much clearance on the back because this is 4-wheel drive, so that even makes it more fun. But it ain't fun. Once I cracked them loose, then I used a ratchet wrench and got them out. Where are they? They're over here in the pile with the rest of everything. And where did I put them? Here they are. They're Loctited in. So they are fun to get out. And they are super, super tight. And then, of course, the exhaust. Where is that stupid thing? It must be in the other bolt tray. If you look at the exhaust, it's got this fancy little holder here, which I'm going to have to replace these. But it's got this fancy speed nut on to hold it. Of course, this one broke, and the bolt didn't come out. And same thing with the other side, which is another reason I had to pull that out because I couldn't get to it. But once you can get the bracket off. Knock that bracket loose, and then you can just actually put a 14mm wrench on that, and that'll hold that in place for you. That took me about an extra half hour. Welcome to Jeepland. Jeepland. I mean, it's really tight. It's super, super tight. Now it's ready to come out. As you can see, they want a bracket. They want you to have 2 brackets and take the manifolds off and all that to put these brackets on to get that out. But there is... back here, there's a 8mm bolt that holds this on, and you can chain it there, and you can also chain it up here like normal. And be careful of this. You want to give it enough slack that you don't hit the fuel line. I thought about pulling the fuel rail. I might still pull the fuel rail once I lift this thing up. If I don't like the way that the chain sits and it's too close to this, I might pull the fuel rail. I don't know yet, but I think I gave it enough slack to where it misses. So I should be good there. And yeah, you don't really have to take the hood off. You just make sure when you lean that baby all the way back that you put a towel there so you don't scratch or hurt anything. Be gentle with it. But yeah, well, it ain't fun. I know this ain't really a step-by-step procedure, but you have to get actually this far. Well, you don't have to take all that off, but basically, yeah, you got to give yourself all this room just to get to those top 2 bolts, and they are super tight. Though, like I said, the 2 on this side, you're going to have to get from up here. The 1 top one back there, you can barely feel it, can't see it. You ain't going to get to it from the bottom. There's harnesses and everything covering it up. Plus, it's tucked so far underneath the firewall. You're never... trust me, I was under there and I thought everything I could. And I got all the tools and extra long extensions and everything else. But I could not get to it. Anyways, like always, likes are nice. Subscribes are better. Questions, comments, feel free. And always feel free to use that thumb muscle and hit the like button, the subscribe button, ring the bell, and you can watch more of these videos. But if you're ever going to do one of these, that's pretty much the only way. And the manual don't really tell you that. It just says remove all 4 bolts. Isn't that funny? But I knew if I dropped it down enough, as you could see, that motor mount, you can see how much it dropped down. Where is it? There it is. It dropped. I dropped it every bit of 2.5 to 3 inches, which was the only way I could even get the EGR valve off. It probably takes 4 hours to change the EGR valve on this thing. You gotta drop the exhaust, take the motor mount bolts loose, pull the battery box. Yeah. What a joke. I could imagine what this thing looks like with a V8 in it. I'm sure I'll find out someday soon. But anyways, thanks for tuning in again, my friends, and have a good night.